the set of possible hands that combination of hands that you or your opponents could have in a certain situation. So, this is a visual representation of a range. No, don't go back. There we go. So, down here, you can see my mouse, right? Yeah. So, up here you have an ace all the way down to a deuce on this axis, and same here, ace to deuce. And then, obviously, ace, ace, pocket aces, king, king, queen, queen, so you've got all the pairs down there. In total, there are 1,326 total possible combinations of Texas Hold'em two-pair starting hands. And you'll see that it's been split in two. This bottom left are the unsuited hands, and top right are the suited ones. And it's important to split these because suited hands have a lot more equity and playability than unsuited hands, so we need to keep those separated. How you want to start building a strategy is to think about the relationship between the range of hands that you're playing and what your opponents are likely to be holding. We do this by looking at the playing tendencies we've observed of a player on each round of betting. This analysis allows us to get a more accurate image of their range as the hand progresses. Here's a simple example, reasonably simple. So this is a standard opening range by a good player against another good player on the button. And remember, the button is the position where you act last, so it's the strongest hand. Sorry, the strongest position you can be in. All the hands in yellow are the ones you'll be opening 100% of the time. The little numbers are the percentage of time that you would open them. So say, for example, like King 4 suited here, you'd actually be opening 3/4 of the time, 75% of the time. Most players develop a range like this kind of intuitively from experience. But these days, there's actually some really cool poker algorithms you can use that calculate this for you using iterations of fictitious self-play, meaning they play a huge number of hands versus themselves to find the very best strategies. This button opening range is taken from one of these programs, and it represents the game theory optimal opening range against another optimal player. So if we've got the button opening range, then conversely, if we're in the big blind, we'll have a defending range. And this is the optimal defending range against that range we saw. So now we're defending about 40% or so of hands. This one's a little bit more complicated because you notice, so all the ones in grey are the ones that we fold, so all the really crappy ones like 10-5 off, 9-4 off, and so on. But we've also missing these ones. And the reason why is because this is the cooling range. If you get dealt aces or ace-king, kings, queens, those super strong hands in the big blind, you're going to re-raise them, so those aren't going to be in this range, that we can exclude them. Sorry, lost my place. So after our 2 cards, there are actually 50 cards left in the deck that we have available to us. And of these, this means we can have 20,000 possible flops. It's a lot of flops that we want to try and analyze. Fortunately, you can actually narrow these down into different categories. Say, for example, a flop like 8 deuce deuce is very similar to 7 deuce deuce, so we can lump them together and analyze them. And ace 8-9 is kind of the same as ace 7-8, and so on. You can then use the program to determine the optimum play for these different flop textures. So let's have a look at one. So let's say the board comes 9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 3 of diamonds. In this situation, the program is recommending, that the out-of-position player checks to the raiser around 100% of the time. The reason being is, if you remember before, their strong hands have been excluded. And so the big blind's range is significantly weaker than the button opening range. The different colours show the different actions that the program recommends.
So who's a blanking? Why are
the
they so
dark
salty?
oranges is
all these flavors.
The program is recommending that you bet big. The salmon colour is betting small, and the green is checking. In response, the big blind has these options. They can raise, they can call, and they can fold, again represented by the different colours.
My favourite.
Then we can go further along the game tree to the turn, which say it comes the 6 of clubs. And again, we can calculate the optimal play. And we can keep doing this until we get to the river. But what's interesting here... What's interesting
the bad
here, if
bug's
you
getting
remember,
for
at the
presentation.
beginning, we saw that the button was opening around 50% of hands, so around 650 combinations of possible playing cards. But by the time we've gotten to the river, from the big blind's point of view, their opponent, if you assume that the button is opened, and then bet flop, and then bet turn, and then bet river, this has been narrowed down now from 650 to only 57 combos. So this is actually really, really useful for information for the big blind. They've got a very accurate assumption of what their opponent's range is, and so they can play their range accordingly. Once you put your opponent on an accurate range like this, you can better figure out the equities of your options and therefore make the best play. Now, in this example, and with all of these programs that you use, these are assuming that you are a game theory optimal player and you're playing against game theory optimal players. After huge numbers of iterations, and we're talking like trillions of hands of this fictitious self-play, the programs come to an equilibrium, which I heard someone mention earlier, Nash equilibrium you might have heard of. At that point, the discovered strategy that you're playing is absolutely unbeatable by any other strategy. To explain this better, I want you guys to imagine rock, paper, scissors. I imagine you're all familiar with rock, paper, scissors, right? So when you play that, what would you guys suggest is the optimal strategy that you could play with rock, paper, scissors? Anyone? Throw a dice?
Excuse my silence there, guys.
Right, and why would you do
Just
that?
trying to think of any actual representations of ESTPs I
Right,
might know, but I
exactly.
don't
You
know
would
if I've
choose
actually
to make yourself
typed
as perfect
anyone
random number
as,
generator as possible, so that
ESTP.
you throw
I'm
out
talking like
rock
famous people.
33% of the time, scissors and paper and so on. And therefore,
Because
the
brothers
best
are ESTP.
counter strategy that you could do with that is also
I thought,
be a random
I
number
thought he
generator and
was
throw it out
ENTP.
33% of the time.
No,
So
whoever said that is wrong.
your best case scenario in that situation
Oh.
is to only break even.
Excuse me.
Because-
Fucking
However,
excuse
just
me
because
how.
a
Holy
strategy
shit,
is
people.
unbeatable
Just
doesn't
look
mean
out
it's
for
the
how.
most
It just
profitable
gives you
strategy.
all of
If
the
we go back
videos,
to rock,
or like
paper,
most of
scissors,
some of the
and I start
videos
throwing
that you've seen
100%
of this
rock
brother,
against you,
and look
well,
at
do you
just-
want to continue
just look
still
at
being
what
that
he
random number
does.
generator? Probably not, right?
Like 90% of the time
You
when he's
A lot
could
of physical
carry on
stuff.
being the random number generator, but you actually wouldn't be
Tons of
beating me.
physical stuff.
Or you'd be playing game theory optimally, but
Very,
you won't be
like,
making the biggest
various
profit. If I'm
kinds.
playing rock 100% of the time, you'd want to start playing paper 100% of the time. And the same
then keep
applies in
track of
poker.
the number
While
of,
playing game theory optimal is the
times
optimal strategy,
he's,
is an unbeatable strategy, it's not necessarily always the best strategy,
thought he was
especially as
interested in,
humans
like,
are
talking
not
about
game theory
concepts
optimal.
of
Most of the time you're
ideas.
playing against 8 or so opponents,
see
some
that
of
he
whom have
almost
never even
never
heard of
does.
game theory optimal, and are therefore very ripe for exploitation. Some players, I mean, like examples of exploitation, some people think that they always want to slow play aces. You know, that means play them tricky and passively, and therefore they're actually going to be missing out on opportunities, and you can exploit that. And same, someone playing 100% on the bottom because they heard it's the best position. So again, you want to, if you just stick with the GTO strategy, you're going to be missing out on those exploitations. But the funnest part of poker, and I guess the bit we're going to talk about a little bit now, is actually the reads, the experience you get in learning how to understand the human psychology and, I guess, exploit these players and look for
We have
weaknesses in
so
them.
many
And I have a
INTP and INFJ
fun video to show you guys,
in talking with famous people.
which
just
demonstrates
the
this
moment
very well. And in this video
INFJ
is someone here who you might
Trying to
know,
watch the
Igor
video now,
Koganov.
goddammit.
And
They're gonna
well, I'll
get
play the
torn
video,
apart.
and then any questions you guys might have.
300 anti. Action. Fold it around to Matthias Morehouse. Castles. Igor
Sorry.
Koganov, King Jack off.
I'll never talk ever again.
Expect he's going to open. He does, with a raise to 4,000. Oh my god, who is that? That is Slade Fisher. He's salted. Ola Shemian, Queen 7 off on the button, and that is a re-raise at 3 bet to 9,100.
Re-raising an early raise against a really good player with junk. There is some history between these two. Igor knocked Shemian out of the 25k in Australia, then went on to win.
Ace Jack 6 on the flop. Koganov checks. Shemian, absolutely no hand whatsoever. Continues to have
And this is almost certainly getting called.
Koganov with a second pair.
Only a third of the size of the pot, which is fine in a 3-bet pot.
He calls. 7 on the turn. Shemian now has third pair.
A lot of folks are going to slow down now, but no, not Shemian. He's just going to continue bloating. A third of the size of the pot, which is fine in a 3-bet pot.
He calls. 7 on the turn. Shemian now has third pair.
A lot of folks are going to slow down now, but no, not Shemian. He's just going to continue bloating this pot like the gluttony seed in 7.
He bet 16,100. Once again, Kurganov calls.
Kurganov were ahead on the flop. He'd very likely still be ahead now.
9 of hearts on the river, and Kurganov checks a third time.
This is a super wet river card. Is Shemian going to get weird here?
He shoves. He overbets the pot.
Straights came in, obviously the flush. This is a sick bluff, and it's his best shot at getting Kurganov to fold exactly the hand he's got. Sometimes even better. Right now, it's Kurganov's tournament life over second pair.
Roland did a different sound than it before.
Uh-oh.
Because your hand was shaking, it's making it tougher. I don't know. Normally it's because you're so happy that you have it. It was a friendly smile to me. Ole, ole, ole. Excellent.
Great call.
Sick.
It's an all-in situation. Both hands have to be tabled.
Live reads are not a myth. I've seen it. That call was sicker than Denzel Washington's son and John.
So yeah, do any of you guys have any questions, I guess, first of all, about this to Igor or to me? How did you do it?
Well, as I mentioned at the table as well, it did seem like he was behaving a little bit different, but generally reads are not something that, except when they're very strong, you can base your decision purely upon. Like how you use it most of the time is, well, you think like it's a slightly profitable, like it should be maybe slightly a fold, but like you have the option of maybe calling because it's not that far away, and then you kind of try to find more information by looking at the player, looking at the body language, and this usually only like changes your decision a little bit. So like if you're, say, if you were beforehand 50-50 between folding and calling, now it might change you to like 55-40, 45-60-40. Like it's not like it makes it 9-10 often with good players. I mean, with a player who has just written on their like 400, do, but in this case it was not quite, and usually like it just changed a little bit. And what was relevant here, which I like to do, and which is generally probably true, is like I say some of the things I said are often to get a reaction, and when he smiles at me like friendlily, usually people like, just like again more people when they try to be friendly to you are lying to you.
So I'd just like to point out that during that interview, especially during the beginning part, some of our facial expressions actually kind of reminded me of
They're
Audra.
just staying in general like, behavior mode with you. Like it's just a normal social situation where
I'm
their
back.
modus of
Hello.
operation is
Hello.
just.
Who reminds you of me?
Whereas when they're like, well, they're
video we
faking
just watched.
it, their modus of operation is faking, then they
Some
will.
of the-
Come on,
Some
partner,
lady-
let's be friendly.
Some of the facial
Again, make a slight
responses
assumption
she
that
had
it's
when
more
asked
lying-
questions,
lying than not.
I said, sort of
He's
reminded me of some of her
overly
facial
friendly in a
expressions.
situation where it's not so, which is why it can be good, and I try to do that
It
sometimes.
might be
Just
ENFJ.
making bad jokes at the table, like, and if they laugh at your bad
No,
jokes,
no,
it's
no,
like,
Steve. There's no need to be that
it
crass.
wasn't really funny.
No, I heard that one before.
So yeah.
That seems like it would be exploitable. On the
Or, as I said,
doesn't seem like he
I'd totally
made
shuffle her
that
deck.
sort of mistake.
Right. This hand also, I mean, everyone is still human, like has mistakes that they do and gets better. This was from 2014 or 13. He was newer on the scene, he was a good player, but he was actually newer in the life sphere. And it's always like, generally also to consider whenever you're in the situation, it's very hard to be a good actor for most people. It's very hard to fake something, and which is why most people are best advised of just sitting and like being deadpan in this situation. Like my situation doesn't matter. Like I don't have to make him do something. So this is why I can be natural. But for him to be natural versus fake, it's pretty hard. And if you're only playing 2-3 years live poker, then you're probably not going to succeed at that very well. And even people like Daniel Negreanu, who is a player who's played now for 20 years probably live poker, even with him, you will find things that are genuine versus not.
Wait, what? Cash was like, wait a minute. Why am I talking about my duel?
Easier than faking something. It's, I don't know, it's just so many things you have to think about.
It's like folding clothes.
When you start doing it, then you look out for your face, right? But the truth is that everyone knows to look out for their eyes where they look. Like that's the first thing you learn
Is she an
about mind.
astrophysics grad?
It's like look when they cannot look you in the eyes. So people adapted to that by
Overlooking,
looking in the
yeah.
eyes, right? And
Casual
it's like
doesn't
this
go that far.
whole just this feel
Casual doesn't have the
of
SC required to
contact
go for
exists
girls'
in
clothes.
mind, but,
He
this
goes
is
to, and it's like you do not
this
have the strength level for
less
this
so of
activity.
the hands,
He's like,
of the
oh.
posture, of the
Their feet.
Yeah, feet is good.
Feet, yeah, feet give away a lot.
There's like happy feet. And so you can like pick up a lot of things from people still, even like from me as well. Even though I would consider myself decent and done
Because you just
some
keep
mind detection training, etc. Still, like, I will definitely give away stuff. And if you know someone, it's even easier.
Yeah.
Plus, actually, what was also quite helpful, this is why he said it, and also like quite how ballsy Ole is. This was the first hand after the break. We were just like on a 15-minute break, and he ran to the table, like just like I don't want to miss the hand. Picks up the hand, like, and instantly just blasts it off like that. So it's quite ballsy to do it, but at the same time.
That's interesting, but it just makes me want to go play poker.
Makes you want to do what?
Makes me want to go play poker.
Yeah, you know, I could see Alger at the table with a cigar, just like, listen, you don't know what's about to come. The storm is coming.
I learned a lot from the last time I played poker.
Was it like old timey? Did you learn that it is completely valid to end a poker match by shooting everyone at the table?
I wish.
Oh, by Keisha.
No, I I figured out that the one variable that I'm worst at it, that I forget to account for is perceptions of myself. Which,
Perception of yourself. Can you expound on that?
so, I mean, when I was playing like, it was like 2-6 limit at a casino with all the like off-duty dealers and regulars, which was fun. And I guess I just turned 21, and I mean, I like poker. I played quite a bit of poker for fun. And I'm pretty good at I mean, I know in general, I mean, I'm not like a straight stats player or something, but I've got a good kind of general gist of what I should and shouldn't do. And then I'm also pretty good at not being very readable. And so I get lost in reading the other people and like long-term strategy and playing around, and I forget that people can be dumb and make weird decisions. And I actually got in the most trouble for I felt like the person that I was bluffing them a pot, and I was doing everything the smart way, and they were kind of. I feel like by the time it was over, I felt like they were not paying attention or treating me in as smart of a way as they probably would most people, and that actually like messed me up. And it was like, and I kind of like I decided that's what had happened later, is that they were more or less underestimating me, and I didn't figure that into my calculations. Because the rest of the people at the table were pretty, I'm not going to say comfortable with each other, but definitely expected a certain amount of, I guess, informed behavior. And I decided that they weren't, I eventually realized that they weren't all giving me that same expectation. And it affected their moves and made them do things that I think they would have been a lot more predictable otherwise. Like that was the deviation from predictability, and it also annoyed me because what's funny is, of course, it never occurred to me to like use the fact that I was, like a young. And I, obviously not professional, like, and I mean, I was playing with a bunch of guys, which there's perceptions and misperceptions there, but yeah, I was kind of ticked off at myself. I was like, oh yeah, people don't realize I'm a cold, hard, like, calculator inside. But I had fun. But yeah, if I went back to a casino, I would at least try to account for figuring out what their perception of me. I would try to account for that. it's probably good I don't live close to casinos because I honestly love playing poker. Is anybody talking or am I just talking to myself? Well, fine then. So nobody wants to talk about poker then? As the ones that brought it up.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
What's up?
Everybody got really quiet. We were watching videos about poker, but then they didn't want to talk about poker.
I don't know much about poker.
I know that I really like playing poker. And that it's probably both good and bad that I don't get to play more often.
You usually play for money.
I wish. I played a lot just for fun with my brother when I was a kid, and then I did get invited to like my aunt and uncle and cousins invited us to a poker game one time when we were pretty young. I was like a teenager, and he was. I was probably 16 or so. I was probably like 16, and he was like 11 or something, 10 or 11. We were 11. We were about that anyway, and we were the kids. And they were letting us kind of play with them because they knew we kind of liked it. And we convinced, they're like, do you want to play for money? And we have plenty of money as kids. And we're like, yeah, it's like $20 limit. I mean, it's nothing. And so we were theoretically playing for money. But the problem is that by playing a $20 limit game before it was over, we were both had doubled our money. And I don't think the grown people liked that very much. And so, being not having the authority, they were like, no, we weren't actually playing for money.
And is that when you decided to have a shootout?
I wish. And then we never got invited back to play poker with them. And and then like the other time I went was in a casino, the one I was telling you about, and that was for money. The other problem was that you go up and down, and I was in a lower moment, and then my family comes and is like, I've been playing for like half a day. And they're like, we have to go home now. Like, it's over. We were there for a conference thing.
It's over, Audra.
Like, okay, we have to go home now. You have to stop. And I'm like, but, I mean, I literally probably would have played for, I don't know how long. At least somewhat longer. I'd probably been playing for 4 or 5 hours at that point. And I was beginning to, get a better hold on the people on the table. I never broke. It was funny. My brother came in because in New Mexico you can't gamble until you can't do any casino stuff until you're 21, except poker. You can play poker when you're 18. And my brother had just turned 18, and so he's like, oh, okay, I'll play. And he comes in, and he loses, like, his whole buy-in in, like, 3 or 4 hands.
That's unfortunate.
Why can't we host our own poker games for talking with famous people?
That would be fun.
Yeah, I would play.
I'd consistently derail it. Not necessarily on purpose, but just because I feel like cards takes some level of like skill and strategy that I strain to give a fuck about.
No, you can just be there to give us money.
Yeah, not gonna do that either.
King can be the dealer.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends. Does dealing require any sort of mental energy? Not physical, mental.
Not really.
Okay, I can.
You have to keep track of the 5 cards on the board.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of go through the motions and.
Okay, well, sometimes my memory.
And accuse people of, and make sure people are taking their turn. You're like, hey, you need to bet. Are you gonna bet?
I'd rather just walk around, and whenever I'd see somebody's hand, I'd make different faces, and I'd want people the whole time to wonder, was that his genuine reaction, or is
Ken's gonna be like the cocktail waitress.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. I want to be the cocktail waitress.
You get tipped.
I don't even care about the tips. I just like during that whole experience. I'd want to serve drinks.
I'm just imagining, just like in the old movies, and like he's walking around, and then he just like sits down in somebody's lap.
That'd be pretty dope.
On Audra's lab, Audra's smoking a cigar.
Oh.
So like sit on somebody's lap, they start losing real bad. I just do that sort of shameful get up and walk away. Straighten my shirt, just like, yeah, sorry about that. How you doing, Eric? We're talking about me theoretically being a cocktail waitress and being low-key sexually harassed by poker players.
Well, Ken, I think the same thing I think about every morning when I wake up. How can I master the art of whisper yelling?
Well, for one, you already got it, because you're rich! You're the best! You're the greatest!
I am!
You're the greatest! You're the best! And you got it! And it's good! And you got it! And it's good! Yeah! There you go.
That's a good inspirational speech this morning, Ken. Thank you. I appreciate
No problem.
that. Wake up to a good inspirational speech like that. You're ready for a new day. You got your cup of coffee. You got your cigarette. You slept in kind of late. It's like 9:30. Fuck yeah, you want to wake up to that?
Yeah.
You're rich. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. Fuck yeah. I'm Kato.
Yep.
So, Ken, would you like to go rock wall climbing with Kato one day?
Yeah.
Me too, actually.
I'm like fucking terrified of heights. So, yes.
What I wouldn't is bring near Kato any woman that I cared about at all. I wouldn't do that, but
I might. Just because I'm sort of envisioning a scenario in my head. Of course, this is a fantasy in a scenario. This wouldn't actually play out, but in this fantasy scenario, I'd let Kodo flirt with various women, and then I sort of subtly sneak up behind him and stab something pointing into his jugular to demonstrate that I am in fact the alpha male in this situation and have just dispatched the most likely candidate for mating, thus increasing my increasing my standard amongst the other cave women.
Standing, that is. You're increasing your standing.
Standing. That's what it is. I think then after that I would have to go hunt an elk to solidify my position as...
I don't know. Killing Kato would probably carry weight for a while, I suspect.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't even be able to follow through with it. I'd be like, I like having you around.
Chicks would be like, no, I'm serious. He killed Kato. And they're like, I suddenly feel so attracted to him.
Even with theories.
Killed him with a poisoned cocktail.
Poison cocktail.
I get the sense that Susie, and I bet Audra as well, don't appreciate my broad generalizations about women.
I don't identify with the group as a group, so it doesn't really matter. I make generalizations about women too.
Right.
I was just like, yeah, fuck those people. It's like, but you're one of those people, and I was just like, shut your whore mouth.
Shut your whore mouth. It's a good sentence to say to a man. I like that in general.
Eric gets to be whatever it is, a male feminist, and I always used to call myself a
female masculinist.
Or a female chauvinist or something,
A masculist. That's one who prefers the masculine worldview. It has nothing to do with being masculine or feminine. It's like I am a feminist because I prefer a worldview in which I don't have to think these horrible things about women. I am saddened by being woken up to reality.
Yet you do it yourself. You're no better than anyone else.
I don't do whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing.
Just a little bit. When you're in a
Well-
bad mood.
Yeah, well, occasionally. Oh,
Guess
So
what?
this
I figured out my other brother now.
your other brother?
Yeah. ISTP. Isn't that weird?
ISTP?
Mm-hmm.
What was your first brother?
ENTP.
Kimberly's kid's ISTP. What's
That's
weird
weird.
is that just yesterday in his college class, they typed them. They typed the kids in class. And I mean, they're students, not the kids. They're in college. But and he turned out ISTP. And the reason it's weird is because like Kimberly and her son or whatever had never really even heard of this shit before, and then I come around and all of a sudden in his class he's getting typed. The symmetry of the universe is weird. It requires one to embrace magical thinking almost. Susie looks skeptical.
I was reading something, so I didn't hear all of it. Trying to make sense of it, but couldn't.
I am just saying that there's a lot of magic in the world, as far as I'm concerned. A lot of magical stuff happens. A lot of stuff that happens for symmetry reasons. The slabs move, and I'm convinced, although this sounds ridiculous, that everybody else's life, shit happens to them because it's a necessary thing for shit to happen to me that's supposed to happen. Like the reason Candace met this new man who she feels very strongly about now, and you know she called me on the phone. She was crying last night when we were talking, and she was saying about how this nightmare involved me and my parents and stuff, and then segued into how she met this guy and she wants to love him like she loved me, which is to say she wants to take care of him and stuff. She's scared to because she's been trained to believe that taking care of somebody means they're going to get drunk and take advantage of that fact. So she's scared to do that a little bit, but he's not a drinker. So anyway, I try to encourage her to just trust her instincts and not trust her memory. This is the problem that SFJs have in general. Whenever they're dealing with me, especially, they want to rely on SI to give them information. And it's completely useless because their previous experiences with other men don't apply. And whatever I did yesterday is not something they can extrapolate out from. Doesn't matter what it is. So that's where I have to be like, with SFJs in general, be like, no, remember, doesn't count. This is me. I'm different. And I'm not the same as the other people that you've seen before or whatever. Because otherwise, you have to tell them to build new memories. You have to tell them to build new narratives. You got to give them the narratives they're telling themselves so that they understand things the way you want them to. Coffee is so gross. I made it yesterday morning. It sat on a heat thing for all day, so it was all like thick and muddy. And then I turned it off because it was starting to smell all burny. And I woke up this morning, I put it back on again. And
How about you don't do that?
it's really gross.
You did it to
Surprisingly
yourself.
gross. I didn't do that to myself. It just happened on its own, Susie.
And you put it in your mouth.
So, if you've ever wanted to view a Type 7 in its natural habitat, I didn't do it to myself. It just occurred on its own.
Right. Exactly. That's how life works, Ken. It just occurs on its own.
So
something I was going to add to your, the meaning slabs falling into place is I would say that, you're talking about how things occur in other people's lives so that new narratives can start unfolding for yourself. I would say that's like I'd be inclined to agree with that, but I would add that I think that also things occur to you so that things can fall into place for other people. That is, the meaning slabs falling into place are not mutually exclusive, but are not
agree
negated.
that makes the most sense. I totally agree that makes the most sense, Ken. And yet secretly, I think that the whole universe is designed to have me experience certain things and not other things.
And I'm saying that is true, and what I've said is true. They're not mutually exclusive.
I'm saying no, it's not true. That everyone else can't make this claim. It's just me who's the center of the universe.
Well, then you would be wrong.
I'm not saying I can prove this.
Poisonous cocktail, Ken.
I'm just saying
if we cannot prove it factually, then
it
at least
feels that way. And I'm proving it with my moisture.
Oh no,
Ken, I'm proving it with my moisture.
You're the TI creative, man. Help me out here, Jesus. I shouldn't be coaching you.
I am helping you out. I'm saying
I am helping.
I help. I'm saying that it doesn't make any sense that Candace would have gotten that just at the beginning of that conversation, just so I could take away all this other stuff. God must be moving everybody else around for my benefit. That's what I've concluded.
It's not God. His name is Lloyd.
Okay, well, I call him God because he's the guy who's playing my character in the big game.
That's just selfish.
He's way better.
It's like
than
you're not even acknowledging what Lloyd has done for your salvation.
I acknowledge it. Lloyd is responsible for all good. But
it's actually not all good. It's only
it's
actually not all good. It's only malaria and weather related good. Any good that comes about from a lack of bad weather or malaria is only under Lloyd's jurisdiction.
Malarial impacts are probably the most common impacts of all. Is that casual?
Yeah,
It's a shiny casual. Shiny
Did I
casual.
mail you that picture? I totally don't remember mailing him anything. I don't ever remember mailing him anything. I don't even know what he's holding there, but it looks like a picture I drew. It looks like it's a casual INTP on it.
No, I said light bulb drew it.
What?
He says light bulb drew it. So you can't take credit for that thing that you could have forgotten.
Oh, okay, good. That was light bulb and mailed him something. Casual, you deserve 50 points. You got light bulb to mail you something. That's hard to do. You have 50 points at least.
It did not come in the mail. Screenshot.
Casual used the internet.
He stole it from the internet.
Yeah, he did. Fucking thief.
He stole what from the internet?
The screenshot. He went into the internet's intertubular cybernets, and he took it like a hacker.
Huh. I see. That's clever of you. I wake up to debates.
Eric's like, there's a debate in my pants, and everyone's invited.
There's a debate in my pants. You can come, but you're guaranteed to lose. I don't think that makes me want to get with you, Eric. I just said you're guaranteed to lose. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Well, that's what she asked, and I wouldn't specify. I said, just try it and see. You'll find out. You'll find out just how awful it can be. That's joking. Now, before we go any further, I think we should all take a moment this morning, as we do every morning, to appreciate the importance of the Certificate of Excellence. Oh, yeah. That's good. That's real plastic.
It's real plastic, and it's real good.
I saw the committee meeting.
When I recorded it, I only recorded one half of the audio, my half, but I had to get it from the raw room because it's there. I just have to get it.
Listen to this arrogant prick. There's multiple people on this committee, and yet he says my half, as though he counts as half of the entire committee.
The other half is one audio channel, though.
Oh, by the way, it will start uploading in 1 hour chunks now. Because
really?
I went and put in the damn code you could have done, which would have taken you 10 seconds.
What code?
We had to verify the account.
I verified it. The
No.
problem is
It wasn't
Again.
done.
it wasn't done.
No.
Oh. Well,
So I think,
didn't-
I think that's pretty much sealed.
Anyway, it's done.
Susie's fate is.
Thank you, Susie, for being the best.
Yeah, Susie is. Well, we have to come up with a new title. She's got to be the president of something quickly.
She's arch admin. It doesn't get any more arch.
Make her
than that.
more.
You can't get more admin than arch admin. That's as admin as you can get.
Admin. Make her Pope admin incarnate.
Okay, well, she may have a secondary papal title. That's possible. That may be still yet coming down the Yaelorian train of truth.
Well, I
But at the
already
moment-
won STI, and nobody argued with that. That was fun.
That's how you know you have the best TI. Best TI. And
Nobody
nobody
argued with
arguing that shit.
Yeah, like there were other NTP in the room, and you're like, "Yep, that's the one."
She just glares at them and TI, and they're just like, everybody just goes shuffling off. They're like, Barry hasn't been here.
It makes me happy to think. I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but it makes me happy to think that. Oh, right, INTPs do like that when you acknowledge that their shit that they do well. They do well. They like that. So I'm glad that it makes me happy to hear that you heard that.
You know you won't cough if you don't inhale smoke.
So it's easy to forget that INTPs, even though they don't display a lot of response to social stuff like FE stuff, and as a consequence, I don't do a lot of FE stuff at them. That you remember that they're still FE seeking, even if they don't display it a lot. So, to the extent that naturally occurring good FE happens, it's a good thing because it's easy enough to forget about INTPs are also people too, because they tend to be kind of,
Stoic as fuck.
Also,
Someone said.
The hard shell can sort of scare one off if they're presenting that. But once you warm up to them, then you just want to, cook them breakfast and pet their head.
Casual, to answer your question, Barry would have been also a very strong candidate for that. I also would have put Luna up there, except Barry hasn't been around enough to justify putting him on the list, really, and Luna is chat only. So, I mean, I think given that, Susie was the first choice. Casual, you would be a strong candidate as well, but you're less stereotypically INTP than Susie. She's like the poster child of INTP. And similarly, Taylor's like to INTP as Casual is to ENTP. I mean, Taylor is to ENTP as Casual is to INTP. So, like, Taylor seems less. Taylor's got good TI. He's also got excellent NE, but nobody would call him more NE than me. I don't think. Even though he's probably almost as NE as me, but he doesn't display it, Similarly, Casual, you've got a activity level that belies the I don't know.
You display very non-corpse like.
You seek to win ground. That's the thing. That's what makes it not super INTP-ish, because most INTPs aren't really that interested in seeking to win ground. They're interested in, if they're going to have a conflict or a dispute, they'd like to have that one smack that sends the opponent flying all the way across the room and into the wall, and then that's about all the energy and effort they devote towards that. And Casual, you've got a little bit more persistence in the Piao Piao. You don't really